How is it going, y'all? Right back here is Highway 10 and or 169. They sort of meet up right here. And this street right over here is Armstrong Boulevard. We are in Ramsey, Minnesota today. We got a Coburn's, we got an Acapulco, which by the way is like a northern suburb Mexican place. Pretty great food, actually. You got a Caribou, a few other things here, but this isn't really what Ramsey's about. Ramsey is an interesting proposition on the edge of the metro. I'm very excited to share it with you. Let's go. How's it going, my friends? My name is Jesse Lynch, and I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To the Twin Cities, and you can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel, it's all here for you as a resource, and it's all about helping people find a place to call home, whether they are moving here from a different city, state, country, planet, dimension, realm, whatever, or just first-time home buyers, or even step-up buyers who are looking, to move from maybe their first home to a second, trying to figure out what neighborhoods are the right neighborhood for you. So if any of that sounds appealing, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel and click the little bell so you can get notified every time we put a video out just like this one. I would appreciate that very much. And if you wouldn't mind, give this video a thumbs up, say something nice in the comments or whatever, and I would appreciate that very much. And as always, if you are interested in working with us, we would absolutely love to help you find the right home here in the beautiful Twin Cities of Minnesota, because that's what we do. That's what we do better than anybody else. We are realtors, and that's, I promise, we crush it at this. So you can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. They'll lead to the same inbox, so it's totally up to you how you do it. No preference on our end. We just ask that you do, and look forward to helping you. Look forward to getting the show on the road for you, because that's exciting. It is an absolutely beautiful spring day here in Minnesota. It is April 11th. My sister's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Amanda. And it's so gorgeous out. Everything's melting, and that is a very, very exciting time in Minnesota. Minnesota really starts to come alive, and there's so much gratitude for the nice weather. That's something that I actually really like about Minnesota. It's not just monotone, same weather all the time. It changes enough that you really, really appreciate when it gets beautiful like this. So what do you say? We're talking Ramsey, Minnesota, a suburb. It's got a lot going for it. Shall we? Let's dive in. All right, friends, right now I'm at the community park within the community of Lennar at Norfolk Meadows, which is a new build community. A lot of what's going on, a lot of what people are buying here in Ramsey are new builds. Like a lot of the northwestern suburbs, this place is very much on the edge and sort of in the path of progress. There's a hawk. There's a red-tailed hawk right up there. Very cool. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's back there, hanging out, probably hunting. This is honestly an adorable community and an adorable community park. I got all these little stumps, little log slices, which by the way, kind of ankle breakers, kind of dangerous, like I just did. But I suppose it's not for people of my stature. Ramsey is a community along the Mississippi River, again in the northwest metro. To the north of Ramsey is the town or the community of Nowthen. To the east is Andover. To the southeast is Anoka. To the just due south is Dayton, and then to the west is Elk River, a few of which we've done virtual tours on, and a lot of which are pretty sweet communities. In Oriole, I'm not really like a bird watcher, but it's great. It's spring, it's beautiful, everything is sort of coming alive. Still a little bit of snow on the ground. What are you gonna do? Population here, 28,000, just a little bit above that. And then you're probably somewhere around 35 to 40 minutes from here to downtown Minneapolis, 40 to 50 minutes to downtown St. Paul, and probably about that same distance to the airport. So not the most conveniently located if a priority to you is getting to the city, right? But I think that's not necessarily what the folks who are living here are looking for. They're looking for the opposite of city life. They're looking for something maybe a bit more convenient than like a rural small town, but with some of that quietness, that sort of peaceful small town living. There are fundamentally two school districts that serve Ramsey, the first of which is the Anoka-Hennepin Public School District, which gets an overall grade of an A-, has some pretty good stats, 16th best school district for athletes in Minnesota, and number 41 out of 352 best school districts. So definitely in that, you know, upper echelon, I guess, category of schools, and that serves the majority of Ramsey. And then there's another school district called Independent School District number 728. That gets a B+ overall. Serves the sort of like western, northwestern portions of Ramsey, so kind of the closer to the more like rural side of Ramsey. That's the best, 12th best school district in Minnesota for athletes, and the 64th best overall. Some of the schools specifically that serve Ramsey, they get pretty good grades, but not necessarily phenomenal grades. I do think as it continues to get developed, as you see more and more of these new build communities like I'm in right now, we'll see some growth on a lot of that. The schools specifically that serve Ramsey, Elk River High School, that gets a B. It serves the western, northwestern portion of the city with that other school district. And then you have Anoka High School, that also gets a B. That serves the majority of Ramsey. Also, one fun fact is a lot of people talk about Anoka Ramsey in the same breath, almost because they were kind of their own small town conglomeration back in the day. Now they have their own identity. I would say Ramsey is becoming more of a traditional suburb on the edges. Anoka has a little more of the historic, old school downtown feel than Ramsey, right? Great antique stores, little coffee shops and stuff like that. But Ramsey doesn't have that going on quite as much. Middle schools, you're getting a B+ no matter which district you're in. It's a Sauk Middle School and also Anoka Middle School for the arts, B+, both of those. Elementary schools, you have some pretty good options here. Rum River Elementary School, A-, Twin Lakes Elementary School, also an A-. So all in all, quite good. And I think you'll find Ramsey is very much dominated by owner occupants. It feels very much like that. For one, it used to be pretty rural not all that long ago, and it's sort of becoming more and more suburban. I would say apartments, rental homes are not really the priority here. Again, 85% of the folks who live here own here. The housing stock, quite affordable. I've helped some people from townhomes to single families buy here in Ramsey, and it's pretty dang affordable. Median sale price is $440,000, which when you take into account, again, all these new builds, that is not too shabby at all. Again, the new build cost in Ramsey, pretty cheap, and I think pretty affordable. I don't want to say cheap, the cost is affordable, and that's a big part of what is drawing people up here. The ability to get a new build home, a lot of home, for not nearly as much money as if you are closer in to the metro. There's a pretty sizable range of home prices on the market. On the low end, like $350. That's pretty much entry level for, a move-in ready home in Ramsey. Most expensive home, $949. That's probably gonna be a new build and probably gonna have some kind of a water feature, maybe even a proper lake or something like that, maybe on the river, because again, that real estate being on water, always quite valuable around the metro. But even still, not even breaking $1 million, and you can have a very like beautiful retreat style home here if that's what you're going for. Okay, what do you say? Let's go somewhere else. I think we're going to a park. There's a lot of great park options here. I kind of want to go to like a bigger regional park, talk through the pros and cons of Ramsey as I see them. All right, y'all, right now I'm at Rum River Central Regional Park, a massive park space here in Ramsey. It's really quite lovely, forested area, big old parking lot, and we're gonna talk through pros and cons of what it's like living here in Ramsey. Pros, quite a lot of them. First of all, I'm gonna just shout out the outdoor spaces. There's a lot of open space. It feels like you have just so much sort of room to, you know, spread your shoulders out a bit. All throughout Ramsey, it's quite spacious, right? It's a pretty big area, not that big of a population, and so there's a lot of open spaces, a lot of park space, and just, yeah, a lot of room to breathe. So, for me, that's number one. And I think another pro, or just another descriptor anyway, is that you have a great combination of like quiet rural lifestyle and quiet suburban lifestyle. I don't really think it has too much of a small town vibe, mostly just rural combined with suburb. But all of it is quiet, which I'm gonna say is pro number 3. Very, very quiet all throughout this area. Again, I'm so removed from any kind of civilization out here in this regional park, and it feels pretty removed all throughout. You also have what I would call pretty solid schools. Not going to be top 5, probably not even top 10 serving Ramsey, but I would argue quite undeniably good, and a lot of the folks who are moving here are moving from places with, dare I say, abysmal school ratings, so hopefully it's a little bit better no matter what, pretty much wherever you are in the Twin Cities. So in general, pretty dang good schools, albeit not, you know, elite. Although I would say that maybe that ties into another pro, which is good enough schools that they're going to have a lot of the programs that you're looking for. However, maybe your kid can actually play, you know, they can actually play the sport, they can actually do the program and participate in the program because, again, it's not such a competitive school. Another pro is that you have a pretty decent mix of housing options here in Ramsey. Of course, you have the pre-owned homes that are mostly, you know, they're gonna range quite a bit in age, but there's not gonna be that many older homes here, really. Not many at all, but they're gonna range from mostly, I would say, maybe the 60s forward, and the huge majority of the homes that are going to be available are gonna be quite a bit newer than that, probably within the last 10 years or so. Again, we're in the path of progress, so we're seeing a lot of that new build stuff coming up right around the Ramsey area. And I would say the real benefit to me, probably the biggest pro right now that Ramsey has to offer in terms of housing stock is the ability to buy a new build home, nice new build home, for quite an affordable price compared to some other areas. So, for example, you could get like maybe a 5-bed, but definitely a 4-bed, 3-bath, maybe 3,000 square foot home for under $500,000 here. That's pretty good and pretty hard to find just about anywhere else. You can also find maybe like a detached townhome, which is basically just a single family that's close together. There's probably going to be an HOA that takes care of your lawn, that kind of thing, for under $400,000. And you'll also be able to find, you know, like a patio home, which is a sort of built on slab, probably going to be smaller, like a 2-bedroom, probably under 2,000 square feet, new build, for under that $400,000 mark. So I really think that's something that a lot of folks are after when they're considering Ramsey. A new build for pretty affordable in a very quiet area, right? In borderline rural, right on the edge of the suburbs. But I suppose with that, there are some cons. First con is that we're pretty far from either downtown. 35 minutes to downtown Minneapolis and 45 minutes to downtown St. Paul. Pretty far from those. Almost equal distance to St. Paul as maybe to St. Cloud, which St. Cloud, much smaller city. Don't let the map fool you and make you think that it's like a big city. It's not even close to the likes of a St. Paul. Another con is that it lacks quite a bit in terms of suburban amenities within Ramsey. You have the Coborns where I was at earlier. You have some kind of, access to those things, but mostly you are leaving Ramsey to run a lot of your errands, right? And also, mostly you're heading to the east and to the south to run most of those errands, because to the northwest, there is not much else going on. You have Elk River, cute little small town, but you're really not gonna have a lot of access to a lot of the suburban amenities sort of right at your fingertips. I think another con a lot of people are gonna think is that it just feels a little boring here. I think a lot of the folks that we help are gonna say, this is a little too slow for them. That said, we do help a lot of people come out to this kind of lifestyle, but just on the whole, a lot of folks are like, it's a little too quiet. I want to be a little closer to sort of cultural events and that of the city. Con number 4, I would say that a classic line I like to use on this channel is echoes of a rural past, right? Which is that there's some evidence that this once was a very rural place, and you can drive around and you might see some of that. You might see yards where there are, cars that no longer run parked in the front yard. You might see, a lot of boats or storage places where there's just RVs stored on somebody's property. Some of that is not for everybody. Some people, that's what they want. They want that, like, hey, I want to be able to do whatever I want on my property, and I can respect that as well. But you definitely will get some of that echo of a rural past here, and some of the sort of like rural dinge that you might see in some places. That said, there's some immaculate rural spaces here as well, like the one I'm in, and some homes that are really, really impressive on a good chunk of property. And yeah, some really beautiful moments here. So don't think that that's all that's going on here. Then I think last con that I can think of is that because we're on the path of progress, yes, you have all this beautiful natural space. Yes, there's a lot of room to breathe and, spread out, but path of progress, eventually, and probably sooner rather than later, some of that will be changed into suburban amenities, which, if this is what you're looking for, the peacefulness, that might be somewhat fleeting over time. You catch my drift? All right, let's pop over somewhere else. I'm gonna talk for fans of, if you like what you see here, but maybe want some other options, where should you go? Right behind me here, all along here, is Rivers Bend Park. This is said river, and it's a beautiful spot. You got a little bit of a main road kind of going through there, but I'm gonna hang out on this dock. Usually I like to walk around, but I'm just feeling this so much today that I'm just gonna hang out on this dock and talk through for fans of. But before I do that, I would like to say, if you are thinking about moving here, get a hold of us. We will crush it for you. If you've spent any amount of time watching these videos, I implore you to find any other realtor, real estate agent, real estate team that has worked as hard as we've worked for you before even meeting you. I think you will be hard pressed to do so. We work our butts off. We would love to help you. So get a hold of us. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. They lead to the same spot, so totally up to you how you do it. We just ask that you do, and we look forward to helping you. Look forward to, getting the show on the road, getting you headed here to the Twin Cities, maybe specifically Ramsey as as we are today. But what are some other spots that feel like Ramsey? If you like what you're seeing here, or maybe you're looking for something close but not quite this is actually probably the biggest list I've ever had for fans of, and I think I'm probably even missing some, or I could sort of expand on why something is like Ramsey but a little bit different. So bear with me on that. But I think a lot of these first ones I'm gonna clump together because they're geographically very close to Ramsey, and so they feel quite similar. The first of which is gonna be Anoka. Again, I said it earlier in the video, people combine Anoka and Ramsey all the time. There's been quite a long history of folks just saying Anoka Ramsey in sort of the same breath. Anoka does have a little bit more of like a quaint, cozy downtown. I mentioned that earlier as well. I went to an antique store there very recently. Shout out to the Big White House, I think is what it's called. It's such a cool antique store. It's in this cool old mansion. Got spiral stairs. It's very cool. Anyway, Elk River is another one. Elk River also has a little bit more of what I think is kind of a cute, quaint, cozy, old school downtown situation, but they're very, very close to Ramsey. If you live in Ramsey, you will likely end up going to both Anoka and Elk River fairly often. I think the next up is Dayton. Dayton is contiguous to Ramsey as well, and a lot of the new build development that we're seeing in Ramsey is going on in Dayton as well. You will see a lot if you open up HomeSpotter, which is the app that's always down in the description of this channel. If you open up your HomeSpotter and look for homes, you know, built newer than 2022, you will see quite a few homes in Dayton, good values as well. I don't think I'll probably do a video on Dayton anytime soon because it's just houses. Maybe I could do an experience video, but there's not much to talk about. It is just neighborhoods, used to be farmland, you know, or just open prairie land, and now it's being turned into neighborhoods. Very, very nice, very cozy, and overall I would say very similar to Ramsey. Okay, another two that are nearby, St. Michael and Albertville. That's basically just further to the west. We have videos on both of those spots as well. Good schools, actually very, very good schools. A lot of new builds. You might find the new builds are a little bit more expensive than here, but the schools again are in that top 10 category. So if you're looking for that, willing to pay a little bit more, maybe St. Michael and Albertville would be, you know, worth considering. Another one that we just put out a video on is Blaine. Blaine has a lot in common. It's further east, it's a little closer into the cities, not quite as disconnected, and a much more complete suburb. But a lot of the folks that are considering Ramsey are also considering Blaine, and that's really more than anything why I'm putting it here, also for that new build factor. Now, other places sort of around the metro elsewhere, Cottage Grove. Cottage Grove is in the southeast corner of the metro. It's very much on the edge of the metro. Then there's basically Hastings is the only thing beyond that, and the river. Cottage Grove, a lot of new builds, similar values, maybe a little bit more expensive. You have access to pretty good schools there as well. Overall, I think the identity of Cottage Grove is not that different from Ramsey, although it's, I think, a bit more complete in terms of a suburb and maybe a bit more high end, right? You'll have a little bit less of that echoes of a rural past in Cottage Grove than you will here. Next up, Farmington. Farmington, I think, is a very, very good competitor for maybe being one of the closest cousins to Ramsey. Farmington is on the very, very southeast border of the metro. It's basically just to the east and to the south of Lakeville, very much the end of the road. There's fundamentally no development at all to the south of Farmington. So similar to kind of north of Ramsey, not much going on, pretty chill. So it has a similar vibe, a similar kind of slowness to it, a small town, echoes of a rural past thing going on, with a good amount of new builds that are relatively affordable, like what you'll see here. Also, good schools. And then I'm gonna say, again, I could probably continue to go on. I'm gonna just chuck a few out here that I think are kind of similar in the southwest metro, which would be Prior Lake, Elko Newmarket, arguably not even in the metro, but similar distance to downtowns, New Prague, and then maybe Shakopee. But that's the ultimate list of things that really feel like Ramsey and have a lot in common with Ramsey. So I hope that this has been helpful. As always, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified so you can see when we put videos out just like this. I hope whoever you are, if you're really trying to make your move to the Twin Cities, I hope you get a hold of us, and I hope you get here sooner than later because it's awesome. Okay, bye-bye.